I'm Megan Skidmore, and this is Beyond the Shadow of Doubt. I am a woman, daughter, sister, spouse, mother, life coach, and person of faith on a mission to normalize asking questions and allowing doubts, not only in a faith journey, but in all aspects of life. Join me in bringing this traditionally taboo topic out of the shadows of shame and into the sunlight. I'm a firm believer that we normalize through more talking and having more discussion. When we're more authentic about our journey, we are more powerful because shame has no power in the face of authenticity. Hey, y'all. Welcome to the Beyond the Shadow of Doubt podcast. You will not believe I got, hey, Annie Joy in the house today. Annie and I met, it's been since 2021 when you came to Dallas at the Fearless Business Conference. Annie is the OG hype girl, hype aunt, hype mom. Love Annie's energy. And I love that Annie is the real deal. So I just had to bring her on my podcast, and I'm really grateful to have Annie here today. So I'm going to give you a chance to introduce yourself to our listeners, who you are, where you're from, about your family, what you do, all of those fun things.
All the fun things. I love it. Yeah. And I can't believe you're right. 2021 was the first conference. And
crazy.
So, yeah, I know that is crazy. Well, it's funny because at the very first conference, Minda, our friend, was like, can you just like come do your Annie thing? And I'm like, I don't really know what that means, but okay. She's like, you do you. Just do your thing. I'm like, all right, sounds great. And it was like, just come be part of the conference. We won't pay you, but like, you don't have to pay to come at the conference. All right, I'll give it a shot, whatever. And then fast forward 2 years later, I'm getting paid to be in Korean Crab Trays event. It's just
I know
like how that went a little bit quicker than I thought it would, to be like, oh, actually I'm getting paid to be a hype girl and be an MC and like party. Pretty awesome. I love that. But
definitely your zone of genius. Definitely.
Oh yeah, it's so much fun. I mean, it's exhausting. Like by the end of an event, I am wiped. Like I need to lay in bed for 2 days. Like it is like top high energy level for like a long chunk of time, but it's so much fun. So yeah, I'm Annie, and I do a lot of things, but my overall thing I like to tell people is that my main thing is that I am trying to create a kinder world, and by doing that one heart at a time. And I do it through a couple of things. I do have a podcast, and I do have like a little bit of a social media platform. It's growing. It's a long story. That's getting somewhere. I hold a kindness camp for kids to help them learn about these relationship tools that they're not learning anywhere else. They're not teaching them in school. If you don't know what they are, how would you teach them in your home? Mm-hmm. And I do love being able to like speak about this topic, to how to become more bully proof, how to deal with people that are mean. Yeah. And being able to go MC events and like help women feel just amazing. Cause that's the funnest part for me. Yes, I love to dance party. Yes, I love to hype up an event. It's so fun to like bring the energy level to a 10. That is so fun. But honestly, the part I love the most is seeing women light up. Why? Because they feel so good about themselves, and they feel good in their bodies when they like stop caring what they look like and they just dance and have fun. That impact is what like gives me the chills every time. I mean, I can dance party by myself and I'll be happy, you know. It's the fact that these women are like,
and you do just follow Annie on social media and you will see those.
Yeah, I will
dance parties. For one,
it's true.
Amazing at it.
I love it. And even when I'm not like up emceeing or doing anything up front, just the interactions I get to have at the events where I get to like, because it's so easy for me. Another gift of mine is seeing the good in people. It's so easy for me. Like I will find good in anyone. I always joke that if I hung out with Hitler long enough, I'd find something good. You know, like I will find it. I will dig and I will find the good thing about you. It's not usually a dig, right? Like it's usually easy. Like, oh, it's very clear to me that this is a great trait you have, you know? And so I love being like an individual hype person for the women at these conferences too, like just to be like, man, you're doing amazing things. Like you look beautiful today. Like I love helping women feel so good about themselves, because I do think that's the best way to bully proof yourself, is to feel amazing about yourself. Yeah. So I like to do it in lots of different ways, but that is kind of the core of what I do. I'm also a single mama. I have 2 kids and one of them is autistic, and that presents lots of challenges.
Mhm.
but he's also one of my greatest teachers. So yeah, we're good here in Arizona, and that's kind of our little family here rocking in Gilbert, Arizona.
I love your goal to make a kinder world. It's contagious. The energy you have, it's obvious, and it's felt by those that are around you. So
Appreciate that. You're amazing.
I can't imagine a more perfect person to do that. Well, I kind of want to dive right in here. Thanks for that amazing
Oh, yeah.
intro.
Let's go. Yes.
One of the reasons why I created this podcast was to just normalize the questions and doubts that come up for each of us on a faith journey. In the times that I have been with you in person, or we're in quite a few online groups where we share and all of that, everybody has life struggles. No one's going to escape them. And you've been open about that. I love how you lead with that authenticity, and you lead with, you're the real deal, right? This is me. This is what I've experienced, and it's made me who I am, kind of an energy. I would love to start out with, you sharing, when have there been times for you in your life where you have had real questions coming up, where you felt these doubts and just, I don't know, how did you navigate them, and what happened, kind of what were the circumstances, and just things that didn't make sense or didn't sit well with you?
Yeah, I love that. Well, and I really sincerely love that you're doing this platform. Like, this is the message you're sharing, because it is so normal to have questions and have doubts and have things come up. And I think that the more we have these important conversations, the more space there is for everybody to grow. Because if we try to shut down any kind of question asking or like concerns or whatever, that just damns everybody's progress, like literally, right? Like it just stops it. And so to create a space for learning and growth, these conversations need to happen. And so I love what you're doing. I love that you are trying to normalize that. This is part of it, man. Like it is. Good. Totally. I think it was David Butler who talked about, like, quit calling it a faith crisis, call it a faith journey. Because crisis evokes this word of something's gone wrong.
Right. And I remember that post of his, and I had, even prior to that term didn't really set well with me. Like, it didn't resonate, faith crisis. That's why I use faith expansion. But yeah, absolutely.
Ooh, faith expansion.
Yeah.
I like that. Yes. Thank you.
Pivot in my faith journey, and my faith is expanding. That just is, I don't know. I just think that holds limitless possibilities.
I really like that for sure. So yes, that is great. So I just wanted to say that I do love that you're doing that, because wherever you're at on the spectrum of faith, you're going to have questions, you're going to have things come up. And what's interesting is, I mean, in the history of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, say it in one breath, right, is that this church was founded on questions. We had a teenager who had questions, who had a miraculous thing happen and started a church. Like that's where this came from. So at the core of like the principles of our gospel, the questions are encouraged. And that's part of like, and God wants us to ask questions. He doesn't want us to blindly obey. He doesn't want us to, I mean, with my kids, I don't want them to blindly obey me. I don't want them to be like, just because I got mad at them, they're doing something. I mean, sometimes I get mad, right? But that's not the reason I want them to obey. I don't want them to like listen to me because I'm yelling at them and they're afraid of my wrath. Right. Like they're going to comply because of that. I want my kids to hear what I have to say and maybe follow some things I might say, because there's a relationship there, because they want to hear me. They want to know what I have to say because they trust me. So that's a piece that I think is valuable to understand, is that that's not what God wants for us either. But for me, I grew up in the church. I grew up in Orem, Utah.
Okay.
So I grew up in like thick Mormon culture.
Yeah, you did.
Thick membership of the church. I often like make jokes. I'm learning to really work on how I tell my story, because I've in the past have had some resentment about where I grew up and how I was raised. That doesn't help anybody, right? To like be resentful of that. So, but
you're human. You're allowed to experience whatever you experience, and it's an evolution. All of life is an evolution.
So it was interesting because I grew up not even knowing there was any other churches. And I've often told this joke, like, I think I was like 12, 13 when I realized there was other churches, because I grew up with the church. Like what in my young mind, like, why would there be anything else? I had not met anyone.
It's all that you had exposure to. So it makes sense.
Totally. That was my experience. I didn't know anybody else. No, I think there was like one kid at our high school that was not a member, and probably they were just inactive. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think there's a single soul in my world that wasn't a Mormon. And so it's just a very different way of looking at things. And there's pros and cons to both. So that's where I'm trying to kind of retell how I tell my childhood. There's pros and cons to both. I was very safe. I was sheltered. I was, for good or for bad. There wasn't a lot of crime I had to worry about. I could run around at 2 a.m. with my friends and be a ding dong and didn't have to worry about getting hurt anyway, right? Like, it was a very safe place to grow up. Man, there was one time that we like water ballooned some cars. Like, we were throwing water balloons up out of the car sunroof into their car, but they like turned around and sped after us, and we're like, oh crap, what have we done? Then we're pulling up to some house, run through backyards, like just dumb crap. And I think if I had lived in like South Central LA, like that would not have flown. You know what I mean? Like, it's just,
for sure.
I lived in a safe place. And there was benefit to always growing up with these truths. Like, I absolutely love the truths of the gospel. And so I'm very grateful for that. And I had very unique experiences with Mormon culture. Yeah. For me, in my little journey, I had a hard time reconciling what I grew up around and how that matched what I thought I was learning in the scriptures. That gave me a lot of pause for a while. Like, that really bothered me. Honestly, is a big part of why I started my podcast, because I wanted to get that separated a little bit, like doctrine and culture.
So was this attempt at reconciling, was this in your younger years, or you're talking more recent?
That's a good question. So it kind of started when I was younger. I remember kind of being in Young Women's and thinking like, I don't like this. Like, I don't love this dissonance. I didn't really have the words to describe it, but I remember feeling a dissonance at that young age and not loving that.
But you were aware.
I was aware of it. I'm like, man, this doesn't make sense to me. Like, just like the whispers behind people's backs, like, oh my gosh, they didn't serve a mission. I'm like, yeah, I can believe it. My dad didn't serve a mission and he's a homie. Like, I don't know. Like, it just, so there was a lot of things around me that just didn't sit right. And at that point, it wasn't making me feel like, oh, the church isn't true or anything like that. I just was like, oh, I don't like this. And it wasn't until more like my early 20s that I kind of was like, I don't know about some of these things. And I always believed in God. I always believed in Jesus. I always believed that prayer was a powerful tool. Like, there were definitely like core pieces that had never been questioned for me. Like, those were always things that felt right to me, that felt good to me, that felt like powerful for me. And so I didn't question any of those things. There was just some pieces about being at church that I kind of got I got kind of disenchanted with for a hot minute of like, I don't know about this.
If you don't mind, I want to ask a question to go a little deeper there.
Sure.
When you started to notice that, what did you experience? Did you notice yourself kind of resistant to allowing that for yourself, to allowing those seemingly contradictory things going on internally versus what was, you're experiencing outside of you? How did you, obviously you noticed it.
Yeah.
How did you allow that?
The first thing. Yeah. And then I think from what I remember, it's been a hot minute because now I'm 40 and this was like in my early 20s, but I remember having a phase of like being really judgy. I'll be honest. Like, that's part of our journeys too, right? Learning how, like, we kind of notice something, we get kind of judgy about the thing that we think shouldn't be. And then you kind of come to this place of grace of like, everyone's trying to figure it out. And I'm going to give them the grace and space to figure out how they figure this out. And I know differently and I'm okay with that. But I had a kind of a phase where I was just kind of judgy. Okay. The hard part about judgment, there's a lot of them, but one of the hardest parts about judgment is that it shuts you off from other things. Like, my heart can't really be open to compassion and love when I'm in just like deep judgment. So
true.
So I feel like I kind of had this, it's also part of being like early 20s, like I'm young, I'm trying to figure out life, and like I'm separating from my parents and going to college, and like, so I'm sure that's all a part of it too. Just like this trying to figure out like where I start and my family ends, and those differentiations of who I am as an adult. Looking at that was part of it, but also it's just like, ooh, I don't like this. And I got just I think I got a little bit soapboxy, I'm embarrassed to say. Like, I just was like, oh, that's not okay, and like just got very judgy about it. Like,
hey, listen, you're not on here.
You can't do that.
You're not on here to confess. We're just talking. You're just being real Annie. And I'm curious to know, when you were kind of going through this phase, did you feel comfortable bringing these things up in a more open or public setting, right? It's one thing to notice them and realize, that doesn't seem like it jives with me. It doesn't seem what Jesus would do. But it's another thing to try to have open dialogue about it.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I would say that I would have some open dialogue with friends like behind someone else's back, right? Like I didn't feel comfortable like bringing that up in like Relief Society meeting.
That's what I mean. Like,
Like
did
it
you feel
wasn't like, oh, hey
comfortable?
guys, by the way, I
Right.
feel very uncomfortable with this, and this. Like, heck no, I did not feel comfortable with that. But I guess, and that's the thing is like, it's not a confessional tour. It's just more like I had a phase where like I felt very judgy about it. But
Yeah.
to give people hope that like if you're noticing some things and then you kind of have some judgment around some things, just be aware of that too and give yourself grace and space to figure out like why that doesn't work, right? And I just learned that doesn't work. It cuts me off from all kinds of goodness to be in that judgment phase, where now I'm more in a place where I can talk more about it more openly. I mean, I have a platform to talk about it.
Yeah, talk about that a
know?
little bit. I think as you're sitting here chatting, it's like, well, that's exactly what you've created with your online platform is a safe space, Relief Society meeting or women's meeting in our faith. That's what it's called. It's a women's organization. That's what you do, right? Like and you're very open about it and definitely non-judgy.
Totally. And I think that is just taken like 20 something years of like figuring out that doesn't work, right? Because I'm a very like passionate human and I'm like, oh, that's not right. And like, I got to rectify this wrong, and I just got very like, it was just misguided in my approach, just like complain about it, say mean things about people. Like, I can't believe they're doing that. Me saying that's not helping the problem.
Well, you live and learn. When you know better.
Totally. And so I learned a lot from that. And I learned how much that was cutting me off from my relationship with God because I wasn't able to feel a lot of that peace because I was stuck in judgment. And so like, oh, that's not working. And just slowly kept seeing where it was there. I mean, everybody judges to some degree, right? We just have to catch it and be like, oh, there's that judgment again. So cute. Thanks so much for showing up. And we're going to let it go now, right? But so as I figured that, like kind of that balance of like, oh, I can recognize that there is something here that doesn't resonate and it doesn't feel like love. And then talk about it in a way that invites people to consider something different and invites us all to kind of go back to the scriptures, go back to the doctrine, focus on that, right? So that's the platform. Not Your Mama's Relief Society is a platform to discuss the things that come up in church culture that don't feel like love, that don't feel like Christ, to kind of bring it back to like what does. It's funny, like every time we have an interview about something, if anybody kind of does bring up, oh, they do this and this and this, I'm like, well, I want to give grace for, like, I'm always jumping in, like, let's give grace for all sides of this because we are all just trying our best. And that feels more peaceful for me to always give people space and grace to learn and grow because we're all doing it and we're not there yet.
I totally resonate with that because the Megan before we learned that my kiddo identifies as LGBTQ is definitely different than the Megan that is sitting before you today. And I find myself many times thinking back and realizing how much I had to learn about being loving, about not judging, about truly being Christ-like, because I am one of those. I did grow up in the church and I had checked, quote unquote, checked all the boxes.
Right.
And I realized I wasn't the Christian that I thought I was, but it was based on the information and the experience that I had at the time. And I have definitely learned a holier, higher way when it comes to love and when it comes to seeing people, seeing them the way our Heavenly Parents would, I call our eternal eyes.
I love that. Eternal eyes. Yeah.
So I love that you have this online presence. And by the way, we'll put links in the show notes to your podcast, Not Your Mama's Relief Society. What a beautiful place to cultivate this open communication. That's where the learning happens. That's where the living happens. That's where the connections are made in not just our faith communities, I believe, but in families, in our neighborhood and civic communities.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a really important concept. So you're a parent, like you mentioned. When it comes to navigating questions and doubts, what advice or what would your insight be to other parents as they try to help their children navigate questions, doubts, concerns, things that don't seem to make sense for them? How have you experienced that in your role as a parent?
I love that question. I love because growing up, that wasn't necessarily cultivated in my home. And I know that's because my parents did the best that they knew how to do with what the tools they had. Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I love my parents and I know that they also just have different experiences that led them to where they're at, and this is how they navigate life, right? As I've looked into my own parenting and kind of done a deeper dive, and also kind of coaching and helping other parents, right, having conversations with other parents, I think that the best advice or insight I would give is that when those things come up, first check yourself of like why it bothers you so much. Because if you take it as like a personal attack, then we're not in a space to hear them. We're not in a space to be kind and loving. We're not in a space to let them explore what they're thinking about, right? And I think that there is things maybe we don't have answers to, right? And there's a lot of things we don't have answers to. And
Yes.
and there's a lot of things that, we just don't know right now necessarily. And that's okay.
It
That you don't
is.
have to have all the answers right now. And at the end of the day, what I teach my children, we have a model that Carters are kind. If I do nothing else as a parent, but help them to like be kind to everyone around them, I'll be okay. Like I'll feel successful as a parent if that's the only thing they take away from my home. And they're young still. Like they don't understand a lot of like doctrine just yet because they're young, and my son's capacities to understand certain things is tricky, right? So we have to kind of just navigate how much I can teach him and what he will like understand for sure. But I think that's like the main thing, is creating a space where your kids can talk to you about anything. And if it is like, hey, I don't understand why the church has these policies, or I don't understand this doctrine, or I don't understand, fill in the blank, right? There's plenty of things. I read this thing online and it made me feel weird. I don't know what it means. What are these things about the church that people are saying? Like, I don't understand. Like, whatever it is they bring up, check your own reaction first. If it is bringing up XYZ feeling, why?
Yeah.
And not in a judgmental way, in a curious way, in a wonder, like, I wonder why this is bringing this up for me. Like, am I making it mean that I'm a bad parent because they might leave?
Right.
And if they do leave, or if they decide the church is not in alignment for them, are you making it mean that you did a bad job of parenting them?
Yeah.
Because I think that that's pretty common, right? To like come up with and say, oh, I did a bad job, or I'm a bad mom. And that's a hard thought to have. Like, if you think you're a bad mom, like that's deeply painful, right? Because we as moms, especially, I'm sure dads feel the same. I'm not a dad, but as a parent, I should say then, like we devote so much of our time and energy to these kids, right? Like a lot of my energy is put in my children because they're my priority and I love them. And I want to give them as many tools as I can to set them up for success, right? Whatever they choose to do with those tools, I can't decide, but I want to put this time and energy in. So it's a thing that I spend a lot of time on. And then when this thing I spend a lot of time on is like not working, or I did it wrong or whatever, like those thoughts are deeply painful. But what if you examine that and said, I did what I did because I did the best job that I could, and they're choosing something different. And they're choosing something different.
Yeah.
It doesn't equal like you failed in some way. And so I think that's the first thing, is like examining yourself, what's coming up for you, and working on your own skill set to just be open to whatever conversation they're having and not make it about you.
Yeah.
It's not about you. It's about their question. It's about their idea, and they need to explore it. And if they don't have a chance to explore it with you, they're going to try it somewhere else.
Yes, they will. I think that's such an important point, Annie. You know, as well as I do as coaches, we practice this art of holding space.
Yeah.
Just listening, just opening your heart and allowing the person to be seen. Certainly the case with our own kiddos. And I love how you are pointing out that it's their own journey. Everybody has their own faith journey. You've shared with me before that you have experienced divorce. And I'm guessing that your kiddos had questions and things that didn't make sense to them. So for you to be able to, I'm just curious to know, how did allowing those questions and making space for that in their faith journey, in your family's faith journey, we could say, how did that help, or how did that go for you? And then ultimately, your relationship with God and with them.
I love that. That's a really beautiful question. My kids don't totally understand all the things like the temple or things like that, but they definitely have had questions about like just our family in general and what that looks like. And I think that, my daughter's had a little bit of questions about like, for her family or whatever. And honestly, any question, whether it's faith-based or not, any question my kids have, and I'm definitely not perfect, but I try really hard to always just, that's interesting. What do you think? Like just giving them the space to talk about it, because they're not actually looking for an answer right that second. Actually, I have found they're kind of exploring it, and maybe they are looking for like your answer, but I don't want to give her my answer right away all the time. I want to try to create a space where she can tell me what she thinks first, because I don't want to develop this like I have to seek other people's opinions to find an answer, right? So if she's like, she'll ask me, Or, I mean, she'll ask me about like choices her dad makes. She'll ask me about it. That comes up more than anything, probably for us, is her dad is no longer at all affiliated with the church. And that's fine. That's his choice. And that's where he's at. And I wish him well on his journey. Right. But we have just very different households. So we get a lot more questions come up about the lifestyle that I have versus dad has. If it's about dad, I always just refer back like, what if you talk to your dad about it? Like, that's his business and that's for him to work out with them. It's not for me to like, comment or anything about his lifestyle choices because they're different from mine, but that doesn't make them wrong, right? Like I can have my own belief system, but I don't get to decide for someone else what's right or wrong for them. And so I don't comment on the things
very wise
to do, right?
Very wise.
So if it's about dad, I'm like, oh, that's a question for dad. Oh, what does dad think about that? Or have you asked dad about that? I just refer her back. That's their conversation, not mine.
Yeah.
But if she has questions about like maybe how I do something different or whatever, I'm trying really hard to cultivate, like letting her think it through.
Yeah.
And what has been your experience? And she's able to do that. My son's not really able to have those like deeper conversations. So I have to keep things like really, really simple. But I have thought a lot about as they get older with the more questions they have. And I thought of like, well, how would I handle that? For me, like there are certain things in the gospel that I don't have answers to. And I have some questions about, like, it doesn't really make sense to me. But what I've told myself is like, okay, well, does the good things outweigh the questions? And for me right now, and I can't say where I'll be in 20 years from now, right? But like for me right now, and all the time that I have developed my relationship with God, the things that I have felt and the things that I've experienced and the faith that I have that God hears me and that he is with me every step of the way far outweighs any question that I have, in the sense that it's not those questions don't matter. It's that I don't know if I'm going to get answers anytime soon. So I kind of shelve them for now. I'm not disregarding them. I'm not saying they're not valuable. I'm saying that I'm just putting on a shelf for now and focusing on what I do know and what I can find answers on. I can find answers to know that I am a divine goddess, that I belong to God and to my heavenly mother, and that like Jesus is so powerful. Like I have answers to that. I have felt his power so deeply. And that is what I could testify to my kids, right? I can say to them, I have gone to my health and my heavenly help so many times, and I have had incredible answers and incredible power given to me that I can't describe any other way. So I might tell them as they get older, what do you know? And can you hold on to what you know? And if they can't, if they say that it's just not enough for me and that's not working for me or whatever, like, okay, then what will work for you? Like, what is enough for you? Like, what can I do to support you? I just want to honor agency 100%, because if we fought that hard for agency, we best be honoring it.
I agree. And you know what I love so much about what you're teaching your kiddos and you're modeling for them is to lean into uncertainty and to not run from it, to not deny that it's there or fear it, to just there's some things I'm not really sure. One of my favorite questions when I'm in doubt and I really don't know what to do, and I've had occasion to apply this question, I always ask myself, what would love do? And I do my very best to act from that space of love.
I love that. I love that question because it is powerful. What would love do? And honestly, at the end of the day, like, okay, so there are people that, maybe the argument or the reasoning might be like, well, we're told to bring back the lost sheep and we're told to like all these things. Okay. And I hear that. And I hear that's where they might be coming from. But at the same time, if you really want someone to come back, or if you really want someone to come to this gospel, how you are approaching that will have a massive impact if that's ever going to happen, right? Because like if you shut people down because they believe differently than you, or if you shut people down because their sexuality doesn't line up with what you think is accurate, like if you are not loving and caring for these people as they are, why the heck would they want to come? Why would they want to be there? They wouldn't. So
amen, sister.
I don't know how it all works out. Like, I don't know. But what I do know is that if I go stand before my maker right now and I tell him that I loved everybody as hard as I could, and I welcomed everybody in my circle that I possibly could, and I was a good neighbor and a good sister and a good mom because I led my life with kindness, I think I'll be okay. Like, I feel comfortable meeting my maker and knowing that that's what I have dedicated my life to doing, to treating people the way Christ did. If that's all I ever do in this lifetime, I feel okay with that. And to me, that far outweighs whether or not I get some of these answers that there's just not answers right now.
Yeah.
We don't know. And
that resonates with me, Annie.
I don't know, but I do know that if I just love the crap out of people, I'm going to be okay.
I agree. I so agree with that. Warm and fuzzy feelings right now.
Oh, good. I'm so glad. I know I get a little soapbox sometimes. I'm like, listen, this is what, but I feel like my soapbox now is so much different than when I was like 20. My soapbox back then was like, you're not doing a good enough job. And now it's like, my soapbox is, this is what I want to do. And I feel so good about it.
And
Will you
I love your
join me?
soapbox. I hope everybody goes and checks out your podcast because you do it with your best friend, correct? And you
Yes.
all just, sky's the limit. It's actually not even the limit. There is no limit. Y'all just jump in and it's a lot of fun. You interviewed me. I don't know, it's been a couple months now and it was a great interview. I loved it. So I can speak firsthand. I love what you are doing as well. I have one last question that I always ask all my guests. And that is, what does it mean to you to live beyond the shadow of doubt?
That's such a cool question. To live beyond the shadow of doubt. I think that, like you were saying before, that doubt will be there, whether it's in your faith, whether it's in your life, whether it's in your parenting. Like, doubt is a part of life and uncertainty is a part of life. And I love that you are preaching how to lean into that. That's part of it. I don't have to shut it down. I don't have to say it's not there. For me, shelving it doesn't mean that I don't care about it.
Mm-hmm.
It means that because I can either ruminate and have anxious thoughts for hours upon hours, which I'm actually really good at doing. Like, I'm really good at just ruminating, I could ruminate forever, or I could say, okay, today's not the day for this answer. Like, okay, I'm going to put it right here. It's not gone. I know that it's there. And I'm going to lean into the things that are beyond that. And for me, that means doing the things that I know will provide results. So the things that I know will provide me a good life, that will provide a good life for other people, to show up in kindness and love for everyone. I can lean into that. That I can do. That I have control over. Because I think when we butt our heads up against things we don't have control over, it just doesn't create peace. And man, do I want peace. I don't got time for chaos anymore. I just don't want to be a participant in it. So instead of creating my own inner chaos, like, please, bless, please, like, just set it right there for a minute. And what do I have control over? I don't have control over, like, how the church is run necessarily. I don't have, there's certain things I don't have control over that. I don't. So I have control over how I treat people. And after hearing President Nelson's talk, where he was so bold in his and loving in his how we treat each other matters. I hope that was a wake-up call for everybody, myself included. I preach this all day and I'm still working on it, right? Like, we're all getting better. But it was, for me, it was this beautiful testimony. And like, I felt this burning in my chest, like, what I'm doing matters. And this is where I'm supposed to be, because it does matter, and matters how we treat each other. So for me, living beyond the shadow of doubt is to say, there's some things I don't understand. And that's okay, because maybe I'm not supposed to understand all of it just yet. And maybe there's other things, like there's questions I even have in like my parenting or my business that I don't know and I'm unsure about, but that's just all part of it, and it's okay. And what can I do right now? Well, I can call this person. I can show up with food. I could, send flowers. Like, these are all things I can do. And I just want to focus on what I have control over and how I show up for other people. That's what matters to me. I love your question. How can I show up in love?
Thank you. And I love that you brought in faith to your discussion there, because truly faith and doubt are two sides of the same coin. You really cannot have one without the other. So good, Annie. So good. Okay, now I'm going to throw out some for funsies questions. I didn't email you about these in advance.
They're just okay. I love it.
1 to 2 word reply. That's it. Okay. Tell us your favorite book.
Oh, no, I have so many. All-time favorite is Expecting Adam by Martha Beck.
Awesome. Are you, this is a silly question to ask you. It's the question I always ask. Are you an introvert or an extrovert? You are an extrovert.
I am an extrovert through and through. Like,
hands down. Yes.
Yeah. Like, times the 10th power. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Are you a night owl or a morning lark?
I want to be morning, but I am a night owl.
Yeah. Same sister. Who is your favorite artist?
Ingrid Michaelson.
Awesome.
I love her. Both of my babies were brought into this world with her playlist. The first thing my kids heard was Ingrid Michaelson.
That is fantastic. Are you a still or carbonated water drinker, or do you do soda, like diet soda or whatever?
Oh, I hate soda and I hate carbonation. Still water for sure.
Still water. All right. Do you have a celebrity crush?
Oh, so many. I love me some Thor. I mean, please bless. But I think Chris Pratt and Adam Brody are my number one and two celebrity crushes. Yeah.
Love it. Furthest place you've traveled?
I guess I need to know geography better because I've been to Europe, but I've also been to the Dominican Republic. I think Europe is farther.
Yeah, from here, from the States. Yeah.
Well, we'll say that.
Both are fun. Love it.
Yeah,
I love to travel. I haven't been to the Dominican, so a little jealous. Okay. You've mentioned earlier on at the beginning of our podcast interview about some of your offers, the summer camp that you have coming up, your podcast. Tell our listeners where they can find you to connect with you and get more information about those things.
Perfect. Yeah. So the podcast is Not Your Mama's Relief Society. So we just started a new podcast an Instagram platform for that. So it's Not Your Mama's, it's MAMA. notyourmamas.rs is the Instagram handle for that one. And then anniejoy.com is where you can find, actually, podcast episodes are there as well, but also it has all the information about my kindness camp. It's in Gilbert Mesa area in Arizona. There's a couple weeks in June, a couple weeks in July, got 2 different locations. And yeah, all the information though is you go to the website under work with me, it says kindness camp and has all the information right there.
Awesome. And I'm just going to put this plug in for you just because I love you. Last summer, Annie's other Instagram account got hacked. So if anybody out there knows any secret,
gotta get it back
because she had such a great following. It was Hey Annie Joy, I think.
Yeah.
Was the handle.
And I'd like to be able to get that handle back, but I mean, I tried all the tricks and nothing worked. I'm hoping that maybe someone knows, like a person that can actually get it back. I think some of those are
I hope that for you too.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Annie, my friend, I love you. And I'm so grateful you came on today. Love all of your wisdom, your insights, your story, and your energy.
Thank you so much. I love you too. I really love, this is so much fun. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, loved it. Come join me in Hopeful Spaces, a Dallas Hope Charities component of Hopeful Discussions, which is sponsored by Mercedes-Benz Financial Services USA. Hopeful Spaces is a monthly parent, caregiver, and ally support group facilitated by Megan Skidmore Coaching. To join is free. Simply send an email to chc@dallashopecharities.org. Visit meganskidmorecoaching.com, where you can find this podcast, as well as additional free resources. Check the podcast show notes on any platform for links to sources cited. Follow me on Facebook or Instagram for more and to send me a DM. To help the podcast grow, please follow, rate, and review, as well as share it with a friend. Beyond the Shadow of Doubt is a proud member of the Dialogue Podcast Network, which is a part of the Dialogue Journal found at dialoguejournal.com/podcast network. Founder Eugene England was a Mormon writer, teacher, and scholar who wrote, "My faith encourages my curiosity and awe. It thrusts me out into relationship with all creation and encourages me to enter into dialogue. My hope is that this podcast is an extension of that vision." Thanks for being here. Until next time.